They are usually, for example, sports specialist writes in architecture journal, so it is sports related to architecture. But it's very, you won't read it. And it has 2 or 3 references. And it has also a prize. Somebody give a prize to it. See? So these are all things. So when you see it, you say, how can this thing get a prize? And these organizations get money from these people, get a journal, pay for that journal as well, share the money, and put maybe 50, 60 articles in one issue, and money is turning around the world. And at the end, of course, we are aware of this. Now, if you ask me whose problem is this? Is it the problem of Western world? No. This is not the problem of Western world, I believe, because they are having different, they are having different evaluations. They are having different evaluation systems. But this is the problem of the eastern part of the world. Because we are using, we are having a quality check, of course, but the first step is having publication, and it goes through these channels. Now, there is a huge danger of production of wrong knowledge here. Publishers use the same computer programs, and they can see each other's issues. So what they do, they check if one article is submitted to many journals, if there is any duplication of publication, if the same author or different author appears in the same application, they check these issues. They also check if the editor and the author are in the same country, in the same university. They also check if the reviewer is in the same country with the editor. They check if the authors use the same computer with the reviewers or the editors. It's interesting, isn't it? And they catch these things and create alerts. And what happens after that? If they have somebody and if they can prove the corrupt issue in this, they put flags, red flags, beside the name of that person. And all the big publishers can see this. And you know, most of the journals or book publishers are big publishers now, so they can all see this, and they tell to their editors that don't accept any articles coming from people with red flags. Don't use these people as reviewers. So it's a kind of cut off the neck for those people. So this is a huge issue. And at the end, I'm sorry, I am a bit an anxious person. I also imagine that if most of the flags belong to the Eastern world or any country or any university, I will be very sorry about that. We shouldn't have things like that, I think. Now, another issue is determining reviewers. If you remember, almost a year, 1.5 years ago, the journals were asking you to suggest some reviewers. They stopped. They stopped because people look at internet, finds an academic's name there, a valuable academic, create a Gmail for that academic, Gmail address, and send it to the journal with the name of that person, and the review letter comes to themselves. Beautiful, isn't it? So this is now known, and that's why they check whose computer is used for review and whose computer is used for articles. So this is not happening anymore. We are very careful about selecting the reviewers, unrelated reviewers usually. And also, of course, quality of the paper is very important. Yeah. And now the issue about AI. Now, if we use AI, we all know that this is a very useful tool. I also use it. I also enjoy it. It's, in my private life and in my publications, I use it. But I will come to the point, how can we use it? But if we use it in one way or the other, we have to declare it and explain it. That's the first issue. And then we have to know about the current capabilities of AI, because it will create an originality problem if you ask it to produce a full text for you, because it is based on existing data. It is not creative. You know, it takes things as they are, so there will be originality problem. There will be critical evaluation level will be low. There will be absurdities. Now, this is the thing we are checking as editors in the journal. Is there any absurdity? Gives false references. It gives references to the sources which doesn't exist. How this happens? I have an evaluation, of course. And it cannot review. It gives inadequate feedback according to research made on this subject. Now, the publishers started to ask use of AI. Now, what can we do and what we can't do with AI? We have to come to this point. These are the current rules, but it will be, I want to highlight that these will be changing. Everything will be changing. We entered into a kind of very fast phase of change. Creation of any new material, they call it copywriting, is not allowed. For example, if I see anything like, if somebody says that, yes, I use AI, and I used it to create my abstract, write my abstract, we have to reject that. Any part of the work, if it is written by AI, we have to reject that. It may be a small part, doesn't matter, we have to reject that. But modification of existing material is allowed. So you can have, you can check your English, you can ask for proofreading. I do it like that. And when I ask for proofreading, a sign appears at the top saying that proofreading gives signs. This means that AI put me into a certain category. So maybe it is putting me into a pool or not putting me into a pool, because these will be checked through Turnitin, I think, very soon. It was almost ready 2 months ago, but not reliable yet. But probably now it is ready. So AIs will create some tools and Turnitin will check that. Of course, there will be many AIs and there will be quality check as well. Quality check is the more reliable issue. So, so for text, it is like that. AI can create continuity problem in the text. It uses mixed English, and American English together. Repetition of content is possible, sometimes in a contradictory way. And we are all warned up about these characteristics to be able to check submitted articles. Now, if we look at, actually, after I put my presentation into the department website, 1 or 2 days later, I received again an email with a lot of rules about AI, which are more precise, actually. If we look at them, this is interesting because if you are in a research initially, you can ask for reviewing literature and looking for gaps. This might help new researchers a lot. At the moment, this is allowed. It's very interesting. And then use of AI for data visualization is also acceptable. So you have a data, but you have to, in your cases, for example, you are explaining it and you want to visualize it, but you have it. You have it. So only for visualization, yes, it is acceptable. If you use AI for conceptual or methodological figures generation, that is also acceptable. For example, you can have a chart of concepts and you can say this is related to this like that, this is like that. How can I improve this graphic? And it helps you. Or methodology flow chart. It can give you a flow chart, well defined, well drawn. So that's also acceptable. But use of AI to create images through auto-inputted prompts is not acceptable. And if you don't have anything in your hand, if you are defining AI what to draw, and if it is creating it for you, this is original. The originality is coming into it. This is not acceptable. And we should remember that all these issues are changing very fast. So, thank you for listening to me. Fast the rules are changing. It's important to know this. And these plagiarism issues all together are universal. They are valid for everybody, limiting proofs. Now, a very discussable issue, which will also appear with AI, who are the authors? Now, we have to look the classic understanding of authors, and then when we go to talk about AI, then we shall come back to this question again. The people who give the effort, who work mentally, physically, with their accumulation, are the authors, and whoever gives the most effort is the first author, and no matter the degree of academic degree of people, whoever gives the maximum effort is the first author. Now, here, this is a very critical issue because the local values and universal values are different from each other. Also, in our environment, the universal values say that, as I told you a minute ago, universal values repeat that, and they also do not put, for example, the supervisors as the second author of any publication related to the thesis subject. But in our local culture, it is like that. We should respect maybe to this, I don't know, because there are reasons behind this. Because the general politicians want to improve the visibility of countries and visibility of their universities in the world. And that's why they are somehow boosting academic production. But we are coming to the end of this because it's already done. We might not need it anymore, and because of this problem, we may be together with different value systems here. Some people might think that they are following the universal values. Some people might think that they are following the local values, and they defend these, and they may contradict. So this is a problem area. Now we have bylaws and regulations, and I suggest all of you to read the ethics regulations of our university, and it's about publication and research ethics. And I don't want to read them, but as you see, false research is interesting here, forced authorship is interesting here. These are all defined issues. Translation from another language to republish a work is an interesting ethics problem. Yeah, so these are, we also have rules and regulations to follow. Now I will come to the new problems. What are the new problems? What are the new precautions? For which ones do we have precautions? For which ones we don't have precautions, and why? This is, I think, can be useful for us, because publishing world is really in alarm, And let me know what I heard from the presenter of Emerald. She said, we have medicine journals. And just imagine if we publish a medicine article in a false way, in a corrupt way, and if one person dies because of that, what about our reliability? What about the reliability of science? One person wants to get a degree and does something, and everything collapses if this gets more. So this is the problem. They see the problem like this, and it's very important. There are organizations, actually it exists for 10 years, but it's very active now. Organizations like Prof, working with publishers, and publishers are organized. They use the same computer program. They work with COPE, and COPE almost accredits them, checks their activities from ethics, and they also develop strategies to fight with these issues, and they inform each other electronically. And you will see in a minute what they do. Yes, I can start now. I prepared a half an hour talk. Can you hear me from the back? Okay. First, I want to say a few words about why I am here, why I am making this talk, because this is something not directly related to architecture. It's not directly related to my area, but I think I have sufficient credentials to make this talk, because I have some publications about ethics in architecture, so I know ethics. And I have some publications about academic research. I teach academic research methods courses for quite a long time. I was the coordinator of MS and after that PhD program for a while, quite a long time. And then I was the coordinator of Turnitin program of our faculty for a long time. And I am the member of EMU Research and Publication Ethics Board, and I was the member of Faculty Ethics Council for a long time. And maybe the most influential factor is I am one of the two editors of Open House International, which is an Emerald journal. And because of my connection to the Emerald, I am subjected to quite a lot of courses about ethics. Since the ethics issues are changing too much, they are continuously calling us for courses to update us about these ethics issues. And most of the things actually I'm going to present as the current problems will appear from there, will come from that source. Now my presentation will start with a few statements about ethics, because I want to address them while presenting these ethics issues about research integrity, especially the new ones, because we have to understand and feel them, then we can be more responsive towards them. Later I will outline the well-known ethics problems, research integrity problems, because they may also be useful to explain the new problems and the way they are dealing with new problems. Then I will start talking about the new research integrity problems and the responses coming from the publishing world. They are in alarm. They are in alarm because they are very serious, very huge things going on, and I think you will understand me after my talk. Now, first I want to say very few things about ethics in general, which will help us about research integrity issues. First of all, there are different approaches towards ethics, and there are different theories, and they may even contradict. So this is very individualistic. Any ethical decision requires quite a lot of reasons, individual evaluation, cases should be studied individually. Now, if we mention these theories, deontology is one of the theories, utilitarianism is another one, virtue ethics is another one. Utilitarianism protects society. Deontology protects individual. And sometimes this may contradict. Deontology also protects good behavior. If I keep this like this, don't do things like that. Okay, I have to be polite, nice, so deontology is about those type of things, and virtue ethics is about the virtues, who is eligible to do what. So they are all very much related to our subject, we can say. So people might have different decisions. There are universal values, there are local values. And this is very much valid about research integrity. The universal values are mainly about humanity in general and our world, our nature. So all the local values, if you look at the local philosophers, they always want to raise the local values to the level of universal values. So universal values have priority over local cultural values. There is also, I have to say, a few things about freedom and ethics, because when we talk about ethics, you may say, oh my God, she's going to talk about rules and it's boring, it's limitations. It's not like that, actually. It's not like that. There's a huge area of freedom, and we shall understand it when we start going into a little bit more universal values. Universal values also define freedom, but local values are more restricted. Now, to understand this freedom, we can look at ancient Greek literature in that one statement only. They say that if you respond to the call of a god or goddess, it can be anybody, because they use Athena, anybody can call them, and then if you know that this will persist, go. So there is quite a lot of freedom in ethics. Now I will start talking about norm research integrity issues. Since these are norm, I will not spend too much time, but one of them is about not to use other words without putting quotations and reference. And what I want to highlight is this is craft of writing, which is also original, which is also very valuable and important. And we shall understand this when we start talking about how can we evaluate use of AI. And the second issue is do not use others' ideas, statements without referring to them. So if we should give our references, this is about originality and innovation. Again, at the back, we are going to turn back, come to this issue. We have some computer programs, Turnitin, Identicate, to check for similarity of texts with each other. And in our school also, your thesis at the end will be run through Turnitin to see if you are above the maximum level. And in that program, the program chooses the first, as far as I know, 6 first words, and then checks the whole database, and then moves one word and takes 6 words again and checks again, and one word movement, check, 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 and it creates